Episode 9.
Welcome back. I will do my podcast voice.
Podcast voice.
That doesn't work for me. I don't have that voice.
Late night podcast voice.
This one's sponsored by a beard. This will be forever commemorated in the video as the time you tried to grow a beard.
Those were dark times. Or rather, those were gray times, let's be honest.
Yeah. A new addition to the podcast. A beard.
A beard. We'll see how many episodes it lasts.
I don't know. I mean, if we're recording 2 today, then they'll last definitely through 2.
I don't know. I might have to run up and shave it. It is a little bit itchy sometimes.
Yeah. It's funny. I find it fascinating.
Is it ASMR?
Oh, I hate ASMR stuff.
Maybe scratching my beard into the microphone is not the right thing to do here.
Annabelle watches ASMR stuff.
We'll open up to a whole new demographic. Just scratch my beard into the microphone.
I'm sure that already exists. I think some versions of everything exist at all times. Okay, we don't even have a topic. We're just talking about it.
Right.
Interesting start to the podcast. I haven't even started drinking our cacao yet, so.
I'm a half inch in.
There's still some left in the pot, so.
Ooh.
Uh-oh. I have another member joining us. You coming to me? You can come. You can come. You only have 1 poof. I need to run out and get more poofs. I know you don't like it. Mommy despise cacao. So topics. I wanted to, sooner or later, I mentioned this, address love and meaning of love and what love is and what love isn't. And it's a large topic to address, and I get very charged about it. But I figured might as well get it out of the way.
Get out of the way.
All the podcasts forward doesn't have to have this lingering over it.
Yeah. Don't want love hanging over your head.
Well, no, I'll try not to get charged. But maybe you can tame me down, and then like
we both know I can't do
that. No, but in like reel it into what is it that I'm trying to say instead of why I'm upset about it.
I'll try.
Yeah, and maybe I will say this. Maybe I will say why I get upset about it.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, do we want to define what love is? Or is that basically the whole episode?
Yeah, I think that's the whole episode. There's no such thing as what love is. But I do get upset about everything that love isn't.
Resisting singing.
I
want to know what love is.
Right? Well, there you go. I want you to show. There you go. There's right there is the concept, right? There's a song. In fact, when I wrote the Edgar Cayce article,
yep,
that is
link in the show notes.
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm a published author. It's a joke, but no, that is what. Isn't that what I started with? No, I want to know what love is, or what is love? Oh, what is love? Baby, don't hurt me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But there you go. When I want to know what love is, I want you to show me what is love, baby, don't hurt me, right? And this is the problem that I have, is we have outsourced love to the outside of us. Like outside of our responsibility, outside of our control, outside of our perspective. And all definitions and all proofs thereof or proofs thereof not rely on the outside party or the social norm or some convoluted definition of, somebody having to show you that, or don't hurt me because that's not love, or do hurt me because that is love, or all of that.
So you're saying love comes from within?
Yes, but not to the extent that, you know, like one of those poster billboards, child for love. Love's inside. Stop looking for it out. It's not that. Right. So
Is this love the same thing as what we think of when we hear the term romantic love? Or is that a slightly different thing?
see, but everybody has a different definition of romance, right? But I think what the easiest part about this is to take what the social norms or the Hollywood or we grow up seeing and then trying to build, right? Because as a child, right, you actually feel innate love of your mother if your mother happens to love you. Right? So, like, right, that innate love of your mother, like my mom loved me and I felt that. And it didn't have to have a gift next to it. It did not have to have her saying that. Right?
Right.
It did not have to have any kind of explanation or definition. There was this innate feeling that I am loved without a present
True unconditional love.
that
maybe,
is felt.
Maybe the truest form of unconditional love is from a parent to a child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it's like, you know, it's not that they can do no wrong, but even if they do wrong, you still love them just as much.
Yes.
They could,
Yeah.
you know, go rob and steal and murder and rape and whatever, and you will not condone those actions, but you would still love your child.
But I want to say, in that relationship, not out of dependency.
Right. I mean, yes, it's not supposed to be.
Yes, right.
I think a lot of the time, for a lot of people, it is.
Yes, what I'm saying.
But it shouldn't be.
So I will, maybe I'll bring this in. You can come back here. Everything that we have come to define as love and then like have parameters around it has been done or is looked at through our, I will say it, pain body or through our trauma, right? And so therefore, we draw on these definitions and ideas and maybe even hopes and fantasies of what love is. But sooner or later, that definition just simply becomes, how can this make me feel better about myself? Because, and might sound harsh, so I don't mean it harsh, but I mean on the most extreme level, because I feel like shit, or because I don't feel whole, or because I feel like I'm missing something. So those are kind of different stages of that.
Yeah. And I've gone through probably all three of those. And I guess maybe that's the distinguishing factor between real love as we're trying to define it today versus something else. And it's unfortunate we just don't have a word for that, but something else that is the love that everybody else is talking about is what if you're getting something out of it,
Mm-hmm.
then it's probably not real love. And that's not to say if you're getting something filled out of it,
Yeah, like a whole filled.
Yeah.
Or like a chase, or like looking to something in order for you to feel something out of it.
Yeah. Real true love, it does feel great, but it doesn't like fill a hole, or it isn't like I've got to have it or else.
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't know. It's hard to describe. It's hard to.
It is hard to describe, but you and I have been struggling with this for a long time. And what I've realized is it is not what it is, more so than everything that it isn't.
Right. I think it isn't attachment.
Mm-hmm.
In like all senses of that word in the attachment theory, sense of attachment, and also in the Buddhist sense of attachment. It's neither of those. It's not a possession. It's not a I've got to have this, or else I don't feel good, or else I don't know anything.
Or else I'm depressed, unless I don't feel good about myself,
Right.
or unless I don't feel like I have enough, or unless I don't feel complete or whole, or unless I don't feel like I'm living my life because
Right.
I don't have it.
It's more of a sense of peace, but at the same time, it isn't like the peace is tied to it. The peace doesn't go away with the waning and waxing of the relationship, of the of emotions, of a fight or a good time.
Mhm.
Right? If it's real true love, in the same way, you don't love your child any less if they get good grades or bad grades, or if they start a fight, or if they make the sports team, whatever. It's you love them unconditionally always. And then separate from that is their we'll call it life circumstances, right?
Yeah.
You love this being for who they are, period. And there's no there's no qualifications. If there's qualifications, it's no longer love.
Yeah. Yeah, and so that same definition, right? Most people hear love and they automatically think of a really romantic relationship, right? But it applies to all love. In fact, I don't know if it in the long run, there. I don't think there is a difference, right, on a true scale.
Right. I don't know.
There are like depth and dimensions to interpretation of it, but at the core, where it's coming from, if it's coming from the right place, there's not really a difference. And so, from the child standpoint, like, you don't love them any less if they do or do not make that sports team. From the partner standpoint, you love them regardless of them giving you the right gift, or regardless of them giving you attention or whatever, right? There's no action or inaction or, making. So a lot of people assign it like, oh, this person has to make me feel a certain way in order for this to count as love, or in order for me to think that I'm loved and then therefore love them back.
Which is very, very different. I mean, well, that is what I grew up thinking, and what we're describing is something very different from what I think
Let's talk
is the
about
norm out
what
there.
you grew up thinking. Maybe let's define like the depth of how you can get lost in thinking that this is love when it's not.
Right. Well, I grew up with a sense of love, in air quotes, being tied to, well, it was tied to like achievement or performance for me. And that's, in my mind, that was like direct, but realistically, where did that come from? I got more attention the better I did, and somehow equated attention with love, and so therefore, my literal goal in life became get as much love as possible, which one step removed is get as much attention. Well, a certain kind of attention, the right kind of attention, get as much of that as possible. That's the goal of life. It was
Yeah.
that simple.
But in that case, love is completely tied into this, like, almost like a physical attribute of
Yes.
action to performance to then result.
Yes, it was.
Right. Which is, which is, you can't say that is not majority of the world right now.
It is the majority of the world right now.
And so in your particular case, it's performance, but in somebody else's performance to get the right gift, or performance into the right action, or performance into the right circumstances, or the right feeling, or the right outcome out of like looking into each other's eyes, whatever that is.
Yeah.
There's almost like these tie-ins, like, oh, I do this happens, it has to make me feel this way, and if it does, therefore it's love. And like, we are almost blind to the idea of how ridiculous that sounds.
Yeah.
That is like, our love has narrowed itself down to, it's gonna be harsh, but to complete idiocy. Idiotic interpretation and idiotic definitions, and we chase them. Like, we never step back to go, wait, what am I doing? What am I chasing? And then you step back, go, oh, this is my definition of love. This is what right? We never do that. Like, you and I have spent last year for sure, if not two, maybe even more, trying to figure out what love is, right?
Yeah.
I don't have an answer, but I know a lot of what it isn't. And when you step back and you go, oh, wow, I define that as love. I have, for the last 40 years of my life, defined that as love. Therefore, the tribulation, right? Like that, the uncertainty behind love, or the fear of having it or not, or the scarcity behind it, rests in the fact that this definition by default has a lesser than or more than component.
Right. It is conditional.
Oh,
It is by definition is conditional.
It's conditional by its interpretation, and by more precisely definition.
Yeah.
The definition within itself creates like abundance or lack thereof, existence or lack thereof, having it or not having it, feeling it or not feeling it, right? At the core, our definition of love is something very finite and very interpreted in the physical, three-dimensional, feeling, emotional, tied to it, obviously.
Yeah, very tied to emotions.
But it's very result driven.
Yeah.
Right. Like, if a definition of love has results tied into its existence, it's not love.
Yeah. One of the I think it's the book that I'm currently reading.
Is it the book that you finished, the Letting Go one, or no?
No, Letting Go.
Okay.
Link in the show notes.
Oh, you know what? We should have an episode solely on that book.
Yeah, we should.
Like,
did you finish it?
No, I have not
I
finished
haven't
it.
finished either.
But okay, we'll talk about it.
We'll finish the book and then we'll do an episode about it.
Yeah.
But in it was like, here's how you can tell if you really love someone. If you really love someone and you realize, or they tell you that they would be happier either with someone else or at least without you, do you want what is best for them?
Yeah.
And it's like, ooh.
How do you feel that?
That's something, isn't it?
How do you feel about that?
I mean, for all of my life, I would have fought against that. But right now, it isn't as charged.
It still has charge to it.
It has some charge, but not like it used to.
Yeah. Yeah. For the longest time,
it would be like, well, let's have a conversation first, at least,
because there's attachment still.
Huh?
There's attachment
Right.
still.
It's not like, all right, I'll be back.
C'est la vie.
But right, I mean, that if you stop and think about it, that really is a true love. True love is you want what is best for this person, this animal, this, it's all, you foster a dog, foster a child, foster something. At some point, it's time for them to move on to another family, or be released back into the wild or something. And it's like, that's just hard. It's like that's like a whole genre of movie. It's like, people become attached to something or someone, and then they move on. That's just that, and it tugs at your heartstrings. It does.
Yeah, because there's attachment, right?
But you realize that that's what's best for the dog. That's what's best for the wolf that got rescued or whatever.
Yeah. attachment holds a lot of charged pain body in it, right? And I'm not saying your goal in life is not to live without a pain body, therefore you have no attachments, therefore you have no feelings. That is not what the goal
That's
is.
not the goal. But the goal is to recognize them.
To recognize what it's pulling at, right? Those strings that it's tugging at, and where it's hitting, right? And where especially if there's a charge, right? You can recognize it and you can almost be at peace at it. Or most of the time you don't recognize it. And what's worse is there is a charge behind it that is actually starts to eat away at the core of yourself.
Yeah.
And that's a completely different interpretation of attachment than recognition and then just simply being in it, right? And meaning the goal in life is not necessarily to let go of the pain body, therefore not living pain, but live in recognition of your experience. Or the term that I was given recently, overlook over the experience.
Yeah, but overlook not in the sense that you like miss it. Like in English, that's I overlooked that spot on the floor and when I was cleaning. But almost like to look over.
Yeah, to look over, right? And when I was giving that term, not supervise, right? Supervising means like control, but just looking over, quite literally.
Observe.
Yeah, but for some reason the term is look over. Overlook, yeah. Look over and not overlook. So you're over and you look. But yeah, observer effect is what like the modern world has come in to coin that term. But when I was giving the overlook, it was very adamant that this is the term that needs to be used and interpreted and uninterpreted and then therefore interpreted in a different way. And so I was kind of confused there for a while because to me, overlook is like, oh, you're not seeing something.
Mm-hmm.
But I think
it's one of those words that could go either way.
But it's on purpose. It's on purpose.
Yeah.
It's the reason why the word is picked is you're not seeing something because you're not overlooking it. Right. It's one of those tug at you.
Yeah.
Both ways. It uncovers the truth by the recognition of the dual of its meaning.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole other episode. I'm getting sidetracked. Yeah. So love, you and I've brought this up to you back when we used to have our like hard and heavy arguments when we were not on the same page at all. I know we're not on the same page still, but back when we were completely not on the same page.
We weren't in the same book.
Mm?
We weren't in the same book.
Maybe we're not even in the same library. We're just like libraries apart. You're in Timbuktu and I'm in Timbuktu 3. And so
Timbuktu 3.
And so, that's
Timbuktu 3. I'm gonna start a little village called Timbuktu 3.
That'd be a great village. Yeah, and so the example that I was giving you, that oh my gosh, you had so much charge behind it, and I remember just trying to like show the case to you because that was like what was coming through me, and then you were finding me the flower, the flower, right? Yeah. And so the metaphor and I don't remember if I was giving this or if I read it somewhere, but it kind of stuck, and it like embodies love. My definition of love, and is that if you are walking on the path, on the garden path, and then you see a beautiful flower, right? I have a thing for flowers, so to me, the ultimate representation of a flower or of beauty is flower. And so you see the flower, and you basically bathe in the glory and the essence of its being, right? Like it is just the most beautiful thing you see. And then, automatically, I usually have this influx to be it, to want it, to have it, to to just want it again and again, and I want to experience it. I want to touch it. I want live every nuance of that flower. Like that is the type of attachment that I have to a flower, right? And to me, it's almost like a lesson every time I see a flower, how much I want to
pluck it.
Not pluck it, no, right? Because then it's almost like preserve it, put a glass case over it, make sure it doesn't disappear, right? It's like ultimate idea of attachment comes through to me in the idea of a flower, any flower, you name it. And I would just it's a thing that I'm drawn to, and then just want to have it, and I want to stand by it, and I want to touch it, and I want to smell it, and it's possible for me to separate myself from it.
Possible or impossible?
Impossible. And so that attachment, right? Everything that I have within my idea to this flower is not love, right? I love it so much, right? In my idea, right? That I have assigned all these values and all these attachment, all these theories and all these expectations and wants and everything to it. And it becomes very obvious then for me to continue walking down the path and then not be attached to not walk that path tomorrow to see if that flower is still there, or not come back and smell it, or not come back and take a picture of it, or not come back and document it to make sure that it's on my Instagram account, right? I literally have an Instagram account dedicated to flowers.
Yeah.
Right? To simply let it be and enjoy the expression thereof without attachment, without
control,
dependency, without control, without everything that is not love.
So if that is not love, what word would you use for that? Attachment?
And that, I mean, attachment, need to control, need to possess, need to have more, right? More, right? When I go shopping at Lowe's in springtime, oh my gosh, right? It's like.
So it's this, you're walking along and you see it and it's just almost an insatiable desire to recreate that later, to
prolong
it.
it.
No, I mean
have it.
I 100% relate. It's not flowers for me, but
no, but that's what I mean. The reason I use the flower is because it would be silly to someone to hear someone say this and then go, wait, a flower, right?
Yeah.
But that is the attachment. I don't know if theory or this is the attachment style: possession, control, desire for more, not having enough. I think there's a word for it that is one word and not. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that is our attachment and interpretation of a human being's version to love.
Yeah.
That is what most of us feel for a human being.
Yeah.
Is what I feel for a flower.
Yeah.
Right. And right. And then to step back and go, how is that not love? I worship this flower.
What else is there?
Right. What else is there? Right. It would be almost silly to some people to go, how is that not love? In this case, the reason, because it is a flower, it's on purpose, because it shows the silliness of that attachment. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But to most people, that is a human being.
And especially because flowers don't last that long.
But that's the whole point of love.
Especially a plucked flower. Is it?
Yeah, right? I hate cut flowers.
It's not going to be around for too long.
Right?
Stick in water, you got a week, if you're lucky.
Yeah. Unless you put that little magic.
Then maybe 2 weeks.
I'm teasing it, right? You're doping the flower in order to last longer.
It gets a little stinky after a while. You're probably supposed to change the water.
Yeah. No, I despise cut flowers because of this, right? Because you're literally, it is something that is on its way to dying. And I have a hard time not attaching or not, right? So it's like, it's a mini lesson in the impermanence of love.
Impermanence of life, of everything.
Of love too, right? In my case, it's love. Right. Right. So in my case, the flower embodies the silliness of all-encompassing, flawed definition of love. To I think to an extent that most people would feel for another human, be it a child, being a friend, being a partner, be it a parent,
Yeah.
sibling.
I think the parent to child relationship is probably the easiest to get right, because that's just it feels like it's just baked into the human nature.
Yeah, except that you can see the flaws that come around with it. There's attachment, there's possession,
there is, but
there's
at the same time,
control.
underneath all that, the raw love that a parent feels for a child, I think, is the purest of all the loves that in general humans experience.
Yeah, and as a parent, right, it is easier for you to almost step back and go, wait, there is letting go.
Yeah.
There is releasing, there is relinquishing control, right? Because at some point you go past breastfeeding to them walking, right? There's that step of removal.
Yeah.
And then you go from, elementary school where they're locked in one classroom, one building, to wait, now they have to walk a hallway for the first time.
Yeah, right.
Where it's just like, whoa.
Right now.
Or preschool to preschool from 2 hours a day, 4 hours a week to 7 hours a day, and in public school system.
Yeah. Right now we're dealing with a teenager who has a driver's license and is a capable driver who may need a little bit more experience, but and he wants to go driving, and it's like, as a parent, it's like, yeah, but you don't have enough experience, and everybody else on the road is crazy. And what about all the drunk people? And what if it's raining? What if it's snowing? What if?
It's fear
and
of letting go.
there's this fear and control, and it's like, it's that it's that fine line between being afraid and being careful. It's like, you don't want them going, like 1 a.m. New Year's Day would be a terrible time to go out driving because everybody is drunk out there.
Mm-hmm.
But it is hard somehow.
Yeah.
To go, okay, yes, you can go drive. And not only that, you can go drive a friend. So now there's, two souls in this car speeding down the highway. It's terrifying. It's terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah. But that driving is that, dating is that.
Dating is that. Because it's like
letting them off to college is that.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Got a couple years before that's gonna be hard.
Yeah. Right. Is that letting go.
Then they'll
Really? Really? That is where you're gonna go?
She's in the frame, yeah.
Don't step on that. That's not stable. You're gonna have to turn around. Can you even turn around right now? Can she turn around?
Yeah, she's halfway around.
Oh, really? What a trouble. Oh, you're so trouble.
Oh, she got a big pull in it.
Oh, she pulled it. I know. Yeah, right.
Right. Attachments to cats.
Attachments to cats.
Attachment to the sweater that just got pulled.
I don't actually see the pull. So. Oh, like that right there.
Yeah.
No, right, and or like a pet dying, right?
Right.
Oh my gosh, I mean, I'm still mourning.
All
of them, but like some cats more so than others, right? And like I can feel them, and I can't even imagine mourning a child.
Right. And it's like, there's the mourning that you and I have for the lost animals, and then there's the like empathetic mourning that is like, oh, what our children must have felt, and when Misha died or when Fredo died or whatever. It's like, which is its own little dimension of it. It's like, you just want to protect your children from, as bad as it is for me to experience the death of a pet, it's like, I really don't want my kids to experience that.
Well, no, I mean, that's just life.
But yeah, it's just life. It's just this overbearing protection to like shield them from anything negative in the world, which doesn't work. It's just not a sustainable thing to do.
No, Aiden's wise and he knows how to manipulate me. So like whenever I was arguing with him about about driving and like why he shouldn't be driving, whatever, right? Because we're trying not to get him to drive. He's like, let me spread my wings, right? And I'm like, oh.
Ooh.
You're using the line on me. That works.
Right.
Maybe he'll never listen to this. He'll never know that's the line that works on me.
You won't know.
Right. And so, right. But
Mom, it's just your pain body holding me back.
right. Oh, he uses that against me all the time too now. I think all of his friends would keep making fun of me using the word pain body so much.
It'll be a drinking game once they're of age
I
to
don't
drink.
think you need to tell them the drinking games.
Take a shot.
Yeah, right. And so like that possession, that control, that fear, right? The anguish of what if, the fear of all the what ifs, right? Is held in our personal trauma. Right?
Yeah.
Like when I will bring in a child since we're on the child topic. This wasn't necessarily my goal, but we were already on it. When Aiden was having his wisdom teeth taken out,
that was hard.
Right,
really hard.
He has never had any medical issues. Like, knock on wood. I don't know if we have any wood here somewhere.
This is
Maybe
probably the closest.
I don't know if that's probably plywood. Right, he's never had any medical issues. So for us to have him be knocked out for wisdom teeth extraction, which is basically like the easiest medical procedures you could.
Does this. Everybody,
yeah, we had it, right? I didn't worry about myself.
I didn't worry about myself,
but I was worrying about him.
I was much more worried about him than I ever was about myself.
And so the fear that came up, right, was the fear of everything that could, should, would possibly, right? The worst of the worst comes up, right? And so that, like, in that moment, you if you don't step back and you don't analyze how deep it sits, then you could just go, oh, well, I'm just afraid for my child being knocked out for medical or surgical procedures, so it's perfectly normal. And then therefore trying to suppress the energy behind it and just go, oh, don't feel it. It's okay because this is perfectly normal.
That was easy. That was an easy way for me to deal with it, was to just sort of like.
Is that what you did?
To a degree, yeah. Which is kind of like, okay. And this is just logicking it out. It's just like, oh, well, every parent's afraid for their child to go in, and the doctor knows this, and the doctor's trying to, not dismiss our fears, but, ease our fears. He's like, I've done literally 10,000 of these or whatever.
Yeah.
And statistically, everything will go fine. But 1 in 10,000 is going to go horribly wrong.
Yeah, but the fear that I felt behind, right, when we were sitting in that waiting room, I was sitting there meditating on it. And I'm like, the fear is much deeper than somebody going, without logic, right? I mean, you could even apply logic to it. You can even go, well, 10,000 procedures a year, whatever. What are the chances, right? So percentage-wise, you can ration yourself out of it and not worry. But the benefit that I received in sitting and going, what is it that I'm afraid of? Right? What is the pain body that this is hitting that is much deeper than just a simple worry of a mother, right? Was a thing to uncover, right? And with me, it's that fear of loss.
Yeah.
And then I realized more so fear of pain.
Fear of not even his pain, but your pain.
Yeah. So fear of me not, right? Because worst case to me, him dying, right? That's the worst case scenario.
Right.
And then what is it that I'm afraid of him dying? And then I realized, well, no, I know he will be okay because I went into, I frequently go into the realm past our 3-dimensional self. So everything is fine there. So therefore, now, of course, and you can touch on that, like, there's the the missing out. That's your end of it. But
Yeah.
my end of it is fear of not being able to process the grief. And we have come across several instances, and like movies show this all the time too, right? Of like just parent being unable to grieve the death of a child. And with me, that brings back one of my past life traumas of just not losing two children. And the not being able to recover from that and basically dying from that. It was, I mean, yes, I died from causes aside of that, but the life trajectory that took me from losing two children to now not having them and then dying was basically just that grief. The grief drove to death,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so the stuck pain body there was inability. So from the past life, it is inability to process grief and then move past the pain of grief. But in this lifetime, because that is twice removed, is the fear of experiencing grief, because in that lifetime I'm dead from it.
Yeah. No, I mean that's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, when we had our cacao ceremony, the person that we met was the person in our community who lost a child. And I connected with her, when that was happening, because in my mind, like, I go into the panic mode of like, I got to prevent this situation from happening because
Right.
I can relate to it myself. And this is the worst pain you could possibly feel. Therefore,
Right.
if I can spare someone else out of it, it's just kind of like that.
It's like there's like literally nothing worse than a parent losing a child. That's like the worst thing that you can imagine.
Yeah. But why? Right.
But why?
That's the thing is I spend a lot of time working on that pain body. It's like, where is that coming
Right.
from? And with me, this might sound selfish, but it was the fear of not being able to go through it, because I know in the past I've just died from it. I just given up on life and died from it. It was like the life was not worth living without that.
Right. And I can wrap my head around that.
Yeah.
It was
I
I
was like,
understand that.
what's the point at that
Yeah.
point, right? And so, like, the experience of life was almost lost on me on the fact that having that experience was experience of life within itself. Like, I wasn't overlooking that at all. I was in fact overlooking that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then thus went elsewhere, right?
Yeah.
And so when I was trying to do healing, like, I asked for permission to go into healing. I asked for permission if I can go heal, right? And then I connected to him / energy of the experience, and they're like, no, this is a path. This is the path experience both for him and then for her. And I was like, oh boy, that's strange. And then I just kind of left it there. And then I realized, oh, it is so deep, because that is literally my pain body. And here I am trying to attach myself into the situation because of my pain body being it. And I'm trying to shield someone else from that same pain. Not understanding the larger picture, right? Not overlooking it.
Yeah.
And then I end up meeting her, right?
Wild.
Right. But on purpose, right?
Of course.
On purpose, right?
Of course.
And, it turns out, what are the chances of that? And then so the spirits bring us together, and I experience her grief, and I can't contain my grief because my grief is so tied into her grief.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's with like the loss of a child, there's the surviving parents, grief, which is a lot.
Surviving parents' grief, but then also, grandparents and
Yeah,
aunts and uncles and friends.
all the survivors, that grief that would just tear through the whole community.
Yeah.
Yes, there's that. The parents and the siblings, I would imagine would be the hardest hit. But yeah. But then I also go into the I'll call it tragedy of like a life cut short that didn't get fully lived in its own way, and I think that's like leftover from my own past life.
From the one in Portugal or not?
I don't think so. Maybe, but I don't know. But it's I don't know. It doesn't feel as as strong now. But anyway, I don't know. There's I mean, I do believe that, whatever happens it happens for a reason. And it's, you know, it was if someone were to die getting their wisdom teeth extracted, I mean, it's hard to it's hard to even say, but it's like, well, I guess that was how it was supposed to go.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Or like a cosmic plan,
yeah,
larger plan.
cosmic,
But
karmic, whatever. I don't know.
at the same time,
But
you
that,
can
that
spend time using that to logic its way
right,
out, and then to lessen the pain, and not actually feel what you're feeling from it,
right,
which is your personal lesson out of the
right.
situation,
So
regardless of the logic.
yeah. So there's two things, and they're intertwined. There's what the surviving people, the grief for them, and then there's the tragedy of this individual not being able to experience a full life in this incarnation.
What's that, though?
But
I mean,
that,
you obviously have a charge there.
yeah, but that's
What does that mean?
it's like, I don't know. That feels almost sadder to me than the survivor's grief. But I think it must be from some time when my life was cut short and I didn't get to experience whatever I thought I was going to, or felt like I deserved to experience. I don't know.
Is that what it is? Deserve?
I deserved at least a chance, and the chance was taken away. Maybe. I don't know. I don't have a fully formed theory on that yet.
Yeah, but you have feelings around that.
Yeah.
Yeah, then you don't have to have a theory. You have to have feelings that you're willing to dig at.
Yeah. It feels sad. It feels really sad.
Yeah, but I mean, you do realize that is suppressed emotions that you're not letting flow. If you're just going, oh, I don't have a theory. Well, there's no theory. It's just, right, like the book that we're reading is just, it's allowing, identifying what is it, the energy that is trapped there, right? And then just allowing it to flow. Like, and allowing it to flow without logic or prejudice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. It's and yeah, we should have a full episode on it, but it is difficult to allow things to flow without trying to define it or parameter it, or go, oh, it's because of this or it's because of that, right? For the longest time, when I would try to release energy, right, I would go, oh, it's coming from here or it's coming from there, and I needed to define it and I needed to allow it to be. And you can define the initial input of it, right? You go, well, I feel grief, right? But then and then let go.
Yeah. Just feel it.
Just feel it, like sitting there and feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's, with me, the problem that I have with it is, it's kind of like a relinquishment of control. Because if you allow it to feel it, then you're kind of like at the mercy of what is.
Yeah.
And that the mercy of what is scary. And so for the longest time, maybe like I needed to hear it like 1,000 times in multiple ways before when we talk about the book, I'll address this, how it came into our life, because it was very serendipitous. I mean, it's just magical. The way the world works when you open up to it is magical. Yeah, and that's the thing. I want to say that. So yeah, the episode is about love, and then it turns out grief as well. But when you, and this is the part that I wanted to say that is probably the most important about this, is when you let go and recognize everything that is not love, right? Everything that is not bullshit. What's actually left is 1,000 times, if not 1,000% more beautiful than everything that you have attempted to interpret in the past as love.
Yes. It feels like peace. It feels pure. It feels, it's it's like, oh, I see that I had this, like, all this stuff caked on top of it that was just obfuscating what love really is.
It was like, and to me, is obfuscating limiting,
Like to
suppressing it, or cloaking it?
obscure.
Okay, obscuring it. Maybe to me, it's almost like cloaking it as something else. Like by pressing all those
Like disguising
definitions
it.
into it, you quite literally take away love. Like, and I know this is part I think that you had a problem with, is when I was telling you, no, what you're feeling is not love, and you were like, fuck no, it's not. And, right.
Right.
So the charge behind it is so vast, because to admit to yourself that everything that I have been experienced in my life for, let's say in our case, 40 years has not been love,
Right. No, it's hard. It was hard.
is
It was
extremely hard. It's like devastating, like almost life
yes.
tearing apart hard.
Yes. I mean, and a lot of that is because I had an attachment to, oh no, I am convinced that this is and has always been love, and
You don't know anything else.
I don't know anything else. So
Right.
so if this is true, then A, it hasn't been love, and B, I don't even know what love is.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing to accept.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We
Because, right, in a sense of control, you have to almost go, because this is what love is.
Right.
Right. You almost have to go, well, if it's not this, then it's this. And hence, this is the whole episode where we're saying is there's a lot of things that it's not, but then there's not a definition of what it is.
Right.
And that's impossible to accept, because that is surrender.
Do you want to talk about the 5 things that it's not?
This is the part where I will get no. So
I don't remember what they are though.
Well, no, I will say so. Let's finish your thought first. So when I was telling you that this is not love, and this is not love, and this is not love, right? What the right approach to that would have been, one, you have to want to, you have to be willing to admit that what you have
Right.
assigned definition to as love thus far is probably not love, right? Like the fact, unless you're willing to admit to yourself that that is what's happening.
That was a big ego hit, because it's like,
Well, it's a hit into surrender.
yeah,
It's a hit into letting go, and then into actually like stripping yourself raw and naked. Like, I say this very casually, but it is excruciatingly painful.
Yes, it was.
All of this entire process, and this is not to scare people off, but right.
But it's worth it. I mean,
It's super worth it, but it's excruciating and painful to admit that what I have been experiencing so far, and everything that I have wanted out of life, and everything that I thought was love, and everything that I thought was not love, and everything that I blamed someone for, and everything that I did not take responsibility for, was my fault, because my personal definition of love was flawed.
yeah.
Not because
Yeah.
I'm evil, not because I am whatever, right? I was simply lost in the definition of what love is, because the only thing I knew was that it is this that made me feel better about this, not realizing
Yeah.
that I feel like shit about that.
Well, this isn't taught anywhere. Nobody teaches this in school.
Mm-hmm.
It would be great if you could have some sort of elementary school, middle school. Hey, here's how how to be an adult.
Well, no,
How to be a human.
right, but again, the class would be teaching everything that is not, because there's nothing to teach about what it is.
Right.
Because what it is quite literally a limitless ocean of possibilities. And you cannot teach or make even anyone see what the limitless ocean of possibilities look like. Right? Now, the only thing you can do is go, this bucket, this contained bucket of shit is not love. Right? You can spend lifetime analyzing the bucket of shit that is not love. And that would be a great deal of progress. Just trying to unlayer, like, right,
Yeah.
this bucket away out of the pit below that is actually love.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know if that metaphor got lost there or if I.
Yeah. No, I mean, here's all the specific things it isn't. And like, here are some ways you can, if, but you can't enumerate everything that it isn't.
Yes.
But you can, well, if it's coming from here, then it's not.
Yeah. Yeah, right. You can basically identify all the places within you, right? That brings a definition in. If there's a definition behind something, then it's not love.
Yeah.
Right? And yeah, so we can bring that book in if you want to. I had like possibly too charged of a response to that book.
5 Love Languages.
Is that what it's called?
I think so.
I have no idea who wrote it, and I have no
don't
idea
know.
what it says.
I don't know. I think the premise of the book is different people.
Oh, have you read it?
I don't know if I read the whole thing.
Okay.
Different people respond.
Do not flash this book on the cover. I do not want any association with this book.
Different people. I think the premise is different people respond differently, or quote, feel loved. Yeah, from different ways. Some people feel loved when they receive gifts. Some people feel loved when they are touched. Some people feel loved when they have special, one-on-one time together. There's 2 more because there's 5 love languages. Whatever.
Given time spent, touch.
Doing things for someone, like
action, like doing.
Yeah.
Okay, is that different than?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe.
And then one more. And those aren't love. That's not love. That it should be the 5 things people like that make them feel good languages, or the 5. What?
No, how I feel about this.
Yeah. The 5 things that people like languages, but it's not love. It's like,
the 5 things you do in order to manipulate people.
Oh, or that, yeah.
That is what that book is.
It's like, I don't care about a gift per se, but time together is nice. That's not love. I understand, I guess, what the author was going for, but conflating it with love, that's the problem.
I'm trying to stay calm.
Hold it
in. So, on the larger scale, there is a benefit to being lost. So then when you find yourself, your eyes open to magnificence. Right? There's that. And then so I that is a karmic path. Like, to be lost is a path to finding yourself. Like, that is just kind of like the path of life, right? By default. The charged energy that I have behind it comes from love is just such an innate right that we have within us at our core, right? That when we lose ourselves, we lose that love by default. Like, us losing ourselves equates to, because the core of us is love, the second we lose ourselves, we lose love. Meaning, like, we go out into the world and everything that we see has limits on it, and love has limits on it. Interpretation of us has limits on it, right? So that pain body causes us to lose our own being, which is love. Like, because when you walk by a flower and you have an innate connection to its beauty and you want to cry over it, but at the same time, you let it go and you want it to exist on its own, and then you have no attachment, and then if it's there, if it's not there, but the beauty and the essence of its being is within itself so overwhelming that you can know that that's love. When you lose that, that is like, and here's where I come from. That is when you need help the most in your life, right? You lost yourself, you lost your essence and the connection to love, to the essence of you, which is love, which is basically the most vulnerable point you can possibly be in. And so to find someone in that space and then to offer them something other than love,
that
book, which is something other than love,
under the guise of this is love, this will,
right,
solve your problems,
right? So when someone's out there buying books on finding love, there's two people who are buying books. There's the person who's lost, right? And this is the person that I'm crying over, right? Because I can feel the essence of humanity being lost. When you're lost and you do not feel the essence of your own love. So therefore, there's nothing in this world, there's nothing in this outside world that will ever offer you love because it's already missing from within, right? And so the second it's missing there and you recognize it and you seek help by buying a book that is supposed to help you, abomination, disservice to humanity, right? Maybe I have no idea what the author's goal was.
I mean, it's specific for romantic relationships.
No, but that is the essence of where everybody falls short, right?
Yeah.
Because the second you separate from motherly love, from sibling love, from friend love, when you hit 16, the only thing you want in life is love.
The rest of the premise is, everybody has a few ways that work for them, and the rest don't really work for them. But whatever works for you just assume that that works for everybody else. And so, if somebody's like, oh, whenever I get a gift, I feel loved. Now, big asterisk there because that's not real love. But whenever I get a gift, I feel loved. Therefore, I'm going to give my wife gifts because surely that'll make her feel loved.
Yeah. So there's a benefit there.
The premise is, oh well, maybe gift giving isn't hers. Maybe it's time together. Maybe it's doing things for her. So in as much as whatever works for me doesn't necessarily work for my partner, I should probably figure out what does work for my partner and stop trying to force whatever works for me onto him or her.
Yeah, but I have even bigger problem with that premise because then that's just like continue to live under your own bullshit of deeming this as love, and then through manipulation of this understanding, then trying to impose more pain body deeming onto your partner. Now, that is extent of like, oh, someone has malicious intent, right? But by default of you propagating somebody else's pain body, knowing that this is what makes them tick or this is what makes them feel the right way, is malicious intent. And I know a lot of people will disagree with that. You probably disagree with that.
I'm working on that.
It's manipulation. Malicious intent by meaning manipulation.
Is wanting your loved one to feel good manipulation?
For reason of?
Well, there you go.
That's what I'm saying.
For reason of,
yeah.
So that they'll
right.
love me back. So that they'll
no.
What?
So yeah. So I will. So I say this under a very specific definition of you are living your pain body, and thus you are continuing to propagate the life of your pain body
Right.
and now trying to cope with somebody else's different pain body and understand how their pain body
Right.
plays off of your pain body.
In and of
So
itself,
it's like a tennis match
yeah,
where you're locked in this little box.
right. In and of itself, wanting the best for anyone, especially your partner, that's all fine and good. But if it's, oh, I want you to feel loved so that I can feel loved. I want you to feel loved so that the relationship feels better, so that I feel better about that. I want you to feel loved so that you will act a certain way toward me.
Mm-hmm.
That's the toxic part of it.
Well, it's propagation of your pain body within
Right.
its own container.
I want to feel loved. I want the relationship to be better. I want this. I want that. So I'm gonna.
But I don't know what you want.
But I'm gonna figure out which one of these 5 is the magic key for you, and I'm going to use that. Yes, you may feel good that you're getting gifts or you're getting time or you're getting whatever, but that's almost a side effect. That's not even necessarily the goal.
Yeah.
That's a byproduct of, that's a step along the way to fulfilling my whole of I am uncomfortable when there's tension in the relationship. When I give her gifts, that alleviates the tension.
Yeah.
Check.
Yes.
Love.
Yes. Yes. That is the most malicious interpretation of that.
Yeah.
It could be less malicious to where like, I just want the best for my wife. I'm living in my pain body and my love language is physical touch. But hers doesn't seem to be, but let me figure out what hers is. Less malicious, but in that case, still propagation of you containing your pain body on your side of the cord, you just not realizing what her pain body is, reading this book, trying to discover what she's containing on her side of the cord. And then it's still a tennis match of back and forth.
Yeah. Maybe the 5 pain bodies would be a better.
Right.
Right.
But so the problem, and this is why I have such a big problem, is you are in the most vulnerable state looking for answers when you're picking up that book.
Yeah.
And so I don't know when it would be the right book to pick up ever.
It'd be the right book to pick up to figure out what, because if okay, it turns out that that gifts is your pain body, gifts is your love language. Why is that?
It doesn't go there.
No, the book doesn't go there. But if you figure out, figure out what the 5 are, we can think of 4 of them. But if that's what makes you, quote, feel loved, that's not the right word for it. It's what makes you feel whole.
Which is the pain body.
Which is your pain. Yeah, that's where I'm going. So that means it feels like there's something missing inside of you.
Yeah.
Why is that missing?
Yeah. Why do you need
Why
gifts?
does it feel like, what hole inside of your soul is there? What, can't form a sentence. What hole, there's a hole inside your soul that gifts seem like they fill, but really they don't. And they certainly don't in any lasting way. They kind of Band-Aid over the hole for a day or two, and then, you need another gift to do it. Mm-hmm. Where did that come from? Think about that.
Yeah.
That's where you're going to get some actual growth and development.
Yeah.
Whether it's gifts, whether it's touch, whether it's time together, or whether it's, acts of service, I think is how it's worded. Acts of kindness, acts of service, something like that.
I mean, I'm almost feel like, how about this? If whoever's listening, if you have read this book or have heard about this book and you have decided to and started to interpret this book as love, please don't.
It's not love.
It's not love. It is your pain body. So if you have read this book and you have identified your love language, realize that is your pain body language. Right. And please start to unravel that.
Yeah.
So there's the path within itself to just unraveling what is that you currently deem as love, when in fact it's just trauma that you're not processing. And when you uncover that trauma is when you start discovering what's underneath that is actually the pureness of your being, which is innate love. Like at the core, your innate love. Like there's nothing to do, there's no workshops to take, there's nothing to discover other than just to remove the layers of bullshit that you have cloaked yourself in that limit your own love.
Think about if you have for parents with a child, or if you have a pet, the pet, it might poop on the rug and you don't like that, but you love the pet, I hope, right? You don't need the pet to buy you gifts. You don't need the pet to, hug you. You don't need the pet to whatever act of service a pet would do. It doesn't make sense here. I've already forgot them. You don't need those things to love that pet or that child unconditionally. Why are we injecting this into adult romantic relationships?
Because it's trauma, right? No, I don't. Would there be benefits? Like I know we cannot possibly uncover every single. If you're feeling this could be the like trying to open each one of those up. Could that is there a benefit to that?
I mean, there's some
brush
low
like just
hanging
brush
fruit
strokes
here. If it's gifts for you, there's a chance that maybe you grew up without a lot of material things, and that makes you feel more secure to have things.
Yeah, right. If you grew up in scarcity without gifts, like I grew up in scarcity without gifts. In fact, without like I never had a bicycle, and I always wanted a bicycle. I know that's very silly to say in the United States, but nobody can relate to that here. They're just freely on the streets. United States. In Ukraine, I never had one. Right, never had candy. I never could ask for candy, right? So I grew up with this innate feeling of scarcity, right? And so if I were to follow this book, gift giving would fill that hole, that trauma of not having things, right? And then that therefore it's love, right? In that case, the love that I would have associated with the physical good. In that case, the love is associated with physical good, or somebody going out of the way to pick you something special and then therefore make you feel special because, oh, look, they went to, I don't know, insert fancy jewelry store name here, and then bought me this, blah. So there's two. There's the price associated with it. Oh, I'm worth it because this thing is bajillions of dollars. Or, oh, look, it's this brand, therefore I'm worth it, right? So there's self-worth tied into gift giving.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I'm worth it because they went out of their way or had their secretary go pick it up or whatever, right? I know I'm like making misogynistic assumptions here, but that is a lot of this world has been, tied to that, especially in the past. I think it is going away, maybe. But
it feels like it.
Some people are still stuck in that pattern. Right. But that would be pain body, right? I'm special or not special. And then gift giving makes me feel special. Someone's going out of their way to do something for me makes me feel special. Mm-hmm. So it's lack of love for self. Therefore, you looking for someone else to do something for you. This is the brushstroke for the whole book in order to make you feel love.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of applies to all of them.
Yeah, it applies to all of them, right? But it's a lack of, whatever.
Self-love.
Self-love, sovereignty, self-expression, and then the outside fulfillments are there to fill those holes. I mean, you already said that, but so yeah, maybe there's not a need to go into each one of them, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. That's good. Maybe a good place to end. Everything that is not love is there for you to uncover. So then, I mean, quite literally, so love can just be. Like, that's what it is.
You almost have to find everything that it's not.
No, yeah, in order for it just to be.
Yeah.
And like the vastness of it being is so vast that is well worth it. Like, it is an ocean of love, like undefined, beautiful love. Thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening.